Hello and welcome to Nerd Positively Reviewed. This is a podcast about the things you love and the voices that do and don't. Each episode, we will travel to the realms of awesomeness and I'll answer the question that we all ask ourselves every time we watch a movie or TV show: where the hell do I know them from? I'll take a look at the directors, writers, and actors, then read some of the best good and bad reviews I could find based on title alone. I'll even give my own thoughts as well. Also, you can make up your own damn mind if you want to watch it in under 30 minutes. I'm the self-proclaimed Emperor of Awesome, Bradley Butane, and this is Nerd Positively Reviewed. So I'm talking about House of the Dragon. There's a couple shows I'm following right now, this and the Acolyte. Acolyte's about to wrap up. This is still going really strong. And this one here released on the 7th of July. I'm late in recording this because of life. And as of right now, when I did all this up, IMDb had the show rated at an 8.4 out of 10. And the episode is actually at a 9.7 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes has us at a 90% on the tomato meter and an audience score of 86%. It's nice to see when those numbers match up pretty close. IMDb says that the synopsis for this episode is simply: as Rhaenyra makes sure there is no other way to end the conflict but war, dragons flew and the dance began. Okay, that's awesome. Let's get going with where the hell do I know them from? This episode is directed by Alan Taylor. You know him from Game of Thrones. He directed some episodes of that. Thor 2, The Dark World, Terminator Genesis. This is also written by Ryan J. Condell from Rampage, Hulk Colony, Hercules, the Rock version, and T.I. McKell from Game of Thrones. Main stars in this episode were Matt Smith. He plays Prince Daemon Targaryen. He's from Doctor Who, The Crown, Last Night in Soho, just to name a few. Emma D'Arcy, they play Queen Rhaenyra Targaryen. Mothering Sunday, the talent Baptiste. My favorite role, other than this from her, is Hannah. It took me a little while for me to become a big fan of her. I think the character change in the middle of season 1 was just hard for me to get accustomed to, but she's been killing it season 2. Olivia Cook, she's Queen Alicent Hightower. She's from Ready Player One, Me and Earl and the Dying Girl, Sound of Metal, Bates Motel. Sound of Metal is really good. I actually was late on that bandwagon, but Ready Player One, fantastic. Love that movie. So much rewatchability on that. Eve Best. Oh, we'll talk about that a little bit. Yes, Eve Best, Princess Rhaenys Targaryen, the queen that never was, the King's Speech, Lucky Man, Nurse Jackie, The Crown. Man, moment of silence for her, for sure. Fabian Frankel, Sir Christian Cole. He's from The Serpent, Last Christmas. I am not, if you ask my family, I'm not a huge Christmas fan, but I love that movie. Love that movie so much. Sonoya Mizuno. Again, I am so sorry for mispronouncing names. Words are hard for me. She plays Missaria, the White Worm. She's from Ex Machina, La La Land, and Civil Wars, Devs, Annihilation, Beauty and the Beast. She has such an awesome resume right now, so expect big things from her. Civil War, it was good. I never did do any type of dive on it, and I still want to at some point. Annihilation was such a great movie. Devs, if you haven't watched that show, watch it. Beauty and the Beast, I take it or leave it. That wasn't for me. Matthew Needham, he plays Lord Larry. He's the Clubfoot Strong. He was in Napoleon. He's been in Doctor Who, Nightman, and Sandition. Tom Glyn Carney, King Aegon Targaryen II. He's from Dunkirk, The King and Tolkien. Ewan Mitchell, Prince Aemon Targaryen. High Life, Saltburn, The Last Kingdom. So we're going to go right in. Let's get into the reviews. Here's my little spoiler, my warning for you. I base the reviews I choose solely on title alone, and I have not read through them. Please forgive me if I mispronunciate words. I normally no talk good. I will do my best to read them as I see it. Punctuation good, bad, and all. So let's find out what people are saying about this, shall we? We're going to start this out with that. This episode was laughable. This is by from the 8th of July of 2024, and here it is. This episode is pretty much equivalent to season 8, episode 3 of Game of Thrones. The decision making seems like it was made by a 6-year-old. Instead of actual lords of Westeros, I will reference an example of the Dothraki charging into darkness to face an opponent they have never seen before, White Walkers, and getting annihilated, even though they had the defense of Winterfell behind them. George R. Martin actually thinks about the decisions of each of his characters instead of just saying what would be cool to show on TV. There were zero redeeming moments in this episode. It was only a series of poor decisions by a bunch of morons. I miss characters like Tyrion, Varys, and Littlefinger, seasons 1 through 5, who actually had some intelligence. Instead, Westeros is led by people who just want to give the viewer a cool spectacle, even if the character seems like children. I really hope the rest of the season redeems this episode because my goodness, this was bad. This is a 1 out of 10. Um, I do like a couple of your points there. They do. I don't think any of the characters really, honestly, besides Rhaenyra, the queen that never was, and maybe Lord, I can't, her husband. They're kind of got the moral compass right now, but is Larry's the clubfoot. He's got alternative motives. You're right. The show is lacking someone to fill in that Tyrion, and I don't think we're going to get it, but that's fine. Good job. You're valid. I agree with a lot of this. I still love the show, but let's keep going. Here is a mid review. This is a 5 out of 10. I'm still going to call this bad review. Okay, this one is called Claws and Teeth. Warning, spoilers. You can't not compare this dragon fight with those of Game of Thrones. There are 3 dragons involved in this oh so epic dragon bout, much like the dreaded episode of Game of Thrones, Long Night, in which there are 2 major 1v1 clashes, just like what actually happened in this episode. However, I can't believe I'm actually saying this with Game of Thrones. Not only there was a relative firepower parity between the 3 dragons, but also Night King's approach to separate Jon and Dany made those dragon clashes more or less engaging. This one, though, phew. The bigger dragon claws, the smaller one to shred. One shreds only to get her neck chomped by the biggest dragon. Claws and teeth. Rhaenyra, with her more than 50 years of experience as a dragon rider, showed the same amount of finesse and skill against Aemon as did Aegon against her. Also, pacing in the show is all over the place, both within each episode and season as a whole, but Alicent's own admission only weeks ago, my husband was alive and the realm was at peace. Not months, not even a month, just weeks. It's been more than 2 weeks, 14 days, a fortnight. Significantly, words are hard, less than 30 days, more like 20 days in the show, since the Green Coup. In less than 20 days, Crown's army of 4,000 men has already plowed through all the opposing houses in the Crown lands. Still a good-ish show, though. Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. Let's do another mid-review. We're going to call this one a good review. Okay, this is a 6 out of 10 and is called War Ready If the World Wants to See You Bleed from 8th of July, 2024. Here we go. In all fairness, the last 15 minutes of this episode saved it from being a 4 out of 10. For the life of me, why is it that they need to film most of the episode in such dark conditions? My issues with this episode and season, for the matter, is the lighting and pacing. It has been poor the entire season. We get drawn out dialogues about characters questioning themselves with no action. We see Cole make various advances. None are shown on camera, just the aftermath. We see Damon locked up in a castle the entire episode, saying things, no action, even if we are only getting dialogues for now. The writing has to be better. Watch The Acolyte. The pacing of the season is horrible, and waiting another 2 years for this just seems like too much. The last few minutes, though, were amazing. That felt surreal. I hope everything after this is like that. Give me a full episode of just that. I promise you the world would be locked in. I believe a 6 out of 10 is a fair rating. Thank you for your time. Fair enough. Fair enough. All right. Let's keep going on with some good reviews. All right, this one is called And the Dragons Dance from the 8th of July, 2024. Warning, spoilers. Then the storm broke and the dragons danced. This episode may seem a little drawn out, and it would be almost fair to say that the dragons' battle was short. But the battle at Rook's Rest is crucial to the Game of Thrones that has finally descended into battle. We saw last week that Rhaenyra attempted to avoid a war by risking her life and talking to Alicent. But that conversation put it in this episode. There is more than a throne at stake in this war. The future of Westeros depends on Aegon's prophecy, the Song of Ice and Fire. I truly believe this episode delivered exactly what it needed, specifically the feeling that this was not a win for either side. Wars seldom are. Cool. Well done. That was a 10 out of 10. I like it. Let's keep going. Another good review. Okay, this is called A Legendary Dance from the 8th of July, 2024. Up there with some of the best episodes of peak Game of Thrones. Was on the edge of my seat throughout. Absolutely raw, brutal, and riveting. I was glad to see that the Dance of the Dragons was as epic as I imagined it while reading the books. It meant the world to see such a faithful adaptation. This episode called for the highest number of VFX shots in the season, and it delivered. You could see a lot of money was thrown off the screen and everything sticking the landing. The character arcs are finally starting to burst, and all the consequences of the actions throughout the series are starting to blossom. May it be good or bad, very exciting time to be a GOT fan. Well done. Let's keep this going. Another 10 out of 10. Good review. Okay, I think this is why TV exists is the title of this one from the 8th of July, 2024. If you're someone who thought this season has been too slow so far, which I'm not, then this is the episode you've been waiting for. Not only for the action, which I'll get into in a second, but every character that dialogue scene was engrossing as well. Any chance that they had to make interesting developments with the plot and character choices they took. Alicent specifically really came into her own this episode. But the thing everyone will be talking about, and rightfully so, is the battle. What can I even say? This may be the best battle in Game of Thrones. It's epic and colossal and brutal. Everything you'd want from a Game of Thrones battle, the directing and the music is top-notch as well. One side note before the end. I actually love the character of Kristen Cole. I get that he's very hateable, but that doesn't mean he isn't a great character. It also doesn't mean you should attack the actor in any way. This is childish and baffling behavior, and Fabian Frankel is great at his craft. All that being said, this is a generational episode in Game of Thrones. Kind of feels like I witnessed a big moment in TV history. Yeah, I'll make a comment about the whole thing. So I'm a pretty big WWE fan, wrestling fan, and my tag team partner in Nerd Positive, I hated Gunther. I wouldn't even watch his matches. Hated it. And he put it to me like, well, then you really like him. He's doing his job right. What can you say bad about him? His moves are good. He's good. His entire job is for you to hate him, and it works. And I look at TV villains that way now. The more I dislike them, the better I think that they are. And you know what, man? I have no issues with the actor what's his Fabian Frankel. Yeah, Fabian Frankel. Man, I think you're doing a great job because we all hate you so much. And toxic fans. Look, I hate jumping on the hate bandwagon, but I do on the Acolyte because I don't think it's a great show. I'll give them credit where credit is due, but that's a whole nother episode. And the season finale comes out this week. There'll be one of these. Let's do one more good review. We're gonna end this on a 7 out of 10. All right, here we go. All right, this one is called Good Episode, but Wagner versus Melees was insulting, from the 8th of July, 2024. I like the episode. Warning spoilers. I like the episode, but Rhaenys Dragon against Aemond's was, to my opinion, insulting. Vhagar is a big and old dragon that your animators animate him accordingly, struggling to barely able to get up and fly, let alone turning fast, while Melees is younger, faster, slighter, smaller, and way more maneuverable. You have Rhaenys, whom you guys have mentioned had battles experience with many years of fighting. The way the writers director portray her is insulting. 2 points. 1, when Rhaenys and Melees, sorry, I'm bad at pronunciation, took Aemon and Vhagar to the ground, why she didn't follow up and finish Aemon Melees off. Double tap. If she's a veteran dragon fighter, she would have made sure to finish it off. Instead of finishing them off, you had Rhaenys fly away. Okay, she flies off, but with her experience, she would have had her eyes on them no matter what. You're telling me that with a dragon as big as Vhagar, she lost sight of it? Really? That's fair. Conclusions. Moronic depiction of your experienced fighter against someone with practically no experience and an oversized dragon that can barely get going by the way your animators animated. Rhaenys Melees should have ran circles around them. And with her battle experience beating Aemon Vhagar, beside that, the show was well acted and had great moments. Cool. Well done. You know what? You just brought the episode down a little bit. You made solid points. I love it when that happens. Good points. Thanks. I went from like probably a 9.5 to a 7. You're so this guy, who are you? Hello, Stevie. You did it. So I thought the show was epic. I thought the deaths, either Game of Thrones, expect the unexpected. I like it. Eve Best, man, you are one of the best actors in the show. It is so sad to see you go. You get Best Actor Award, Show Stealer, all of that stuff. So if you want to find me from me or follow me, you can do that at Facebook at NerdPositive1, TikTok at NerdPositive1, Instagram at TheFandemic1. If you feel there's more of a conversation in regards to House of the Dragon, feel free to reach out and let's talk. Who knows, maybe you'll be the next episode on Nerd Positive. If you want to support the show, there are several ways to do so. Buy me a coffee at buymeacoffee.com/nerdpositive. Find us on Patreon at patreon.com/nerdpositive. PayPal or Venmo at Bradley Butin. I'm not going to say no. Most importantly, just share the show with somebody you want to make a little more awesome. If you like this, check out All Things Nerd Positive. Me and my buddy, my co-star Brian, will talk. We like to hang out and just geek out so much. I also got a couple of kids books out there. Got a couple more that I'm working on. So reach out if you have any questions about that. Other than that, episode 4, House of the Dragon. You've been Nerd Positively reviewed, and we are at 19 minutes. All right.